Hola y bienvenidos to week 1 of online learning. Today we're going to be doing conjugating AR verbs. This is your lesson for the week. This is our first time using new materials and start and closure, so let's give this a shot. What is an AR verb and what does it mean to conjugate it? AR verbs are action words that end in the letters AR. We've seen these back when we learned how to talk about things we like to do using the verb gustar. Conjugating a verb is when you change the ending of the verb to specify who is doing the action. So we want to make sure that we're focusing on subject pronouns like I, you, he, she, we, they. We've practiced conjugating already with verbs like ser, gustar, and tener. For example, yo soy, tú tienes, me gusta, etc. On the right, you'll see some examples of AR verbs that we saw during the gustar unit. For example, escuchar, hablar, montar, andar, alquilar, and there were a bunch others in that packet as well. Before we get started on how to conjugate an AR verb, I want to introduce you to some new AR verbs that are in this unit. For example, we have buscar, which is to look for, caminar, to walk, cantar, to sing, contestar, to answer, enseñar, to teach, llegar, to arrive, necesitar, to need, pintar, to paint, preguntar, to ask, sacar una buena nota, to get a good grade, sacar una mala nota, to get a bad grade, tomar apuntes, to take notes, and lastly, usar la computadora is to use a computer. So these are the new AR verbs that we'll be working with throughout this unit and that you will see on your practice worksheets and assignments. That said, let's get started. Conjugating AR verbs, this is your step-by-step guide. So step 1 is to drop the AR ending. For practice purposes, we're going to go ahead and start with alquilar un DVD, which means to rent a DVD. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to drop that AR ending from alquilar. That leaves us with alquil, which is the stem of our verb, with each subject pronoun. Step 2, we're going to add the proper endings for each of those. So starting with yo, we're going to add o to the end to make alquilo. 2, we're going to add as to make alquilas. El, ella, usted, we'll add an a at the end to make alquila. Nosotros, nosotras, we'll go ahead and add amos at the end to make alquilamos. Ellas, ellos, ustedes, we're going to add an at the end to make alquilan. These should be semi-familiar to you because, like I said, we have worked with this chart in the past and we have conjugated other verbs as well. Step 3, since we had a phrase which was alquilar un DVD, you're going to go ahead and add the rest of the verb phrase back onto your sentence now that everything has the proper ending. So you should have, for example, yo alquilo un DVD, tú alquilas un DVD, él, ella, usted alquila un DVD, nosotros, nosotras alquilamos un DVD, ellos, ellas, ustedes alquilan un DVD. Step 4 is when you want to take a moment to check that your subject pronoun is in agreement with your conjugated verb as well. So we want to make sure that we're looking at yo, which is I, tú, you, él, he, ella, she, usted, you formal, nosotros, we, nosotras, we feminine, ellos, they, ellas, they feminine, and lastly, ustedes, which is you plural. Then you want to make sure that they're matched up with the proper endings of o, as, a, amos, and an. Once you've done that, you're on to step 5, which is to translate to English. So yo alquilo un DVD is I rent a DVD. Tú alquilas un DVD? You rent a DVD. Ella, usted alquila un DVD? Is he, she, you rent a DVD? Nosotros, nosotras alquilamos un DVD? Is we or we feminine rent a DVD? And then to end, we have ellos, ellas, ustedes alquilan un DVD, which is they feminine, and you plural rent a DVD. At this time, I'd like you to pause your video and use the worksheet provided to go ahead and give it a try on your own with the verb phrase andar en patineta. Once you've gone ahead and practiced all 5 steps, you can go ahead and check your answers on the next slide after unpausing your video. All right, let's check our answers. So you should have practiced with the verb phrase andar en patineta, which means to skateboard. The first thing we should have done is drop that AR off of andar, leaving us with the stem of and after each of our subject pronouns. Then we should have added our proper endings of o, as, a, amos, an onto each of those as well. Once we had our proper endings, we want to finish out our verb phrase and add back on that en patineta to form our whole sentence. Then, once we had all of our first 4 steps done, you want to go ahead and translate those to English. So you should have ando en patineta, I skateboard, andas en patineta, you skateboard, anda en patineta, he, she, or you formal skateboard, andamos en patineta, we or we feminine skateboard, and andan en patineta, they female or you plural skateboard. Now that you've practiced, I'm just going to quickly explain assignment number 1. Using this video, you're going to complete the worksheet that was attached labeled Conjugation Practice 2A to D. Your task is to conjugate the verbs descansar and dibujar. First thing you're going to do is write the steps for conjugating AR verbs. Then you'll translate the verb to English using the new verbs in this video or the AR verbs list that I provided. Step 3, conjugate your verbs, following the 5 steps that we just reviewed. Step 4, turn in your assignment on Teams. Be sure that when you do this, you click the turn in button after you upload it so that it is sent to me. If you have questions, you can join me at office hours on Tuesday or Thursday afternoons from 1 to 2 p.m. on Zoom, and you know that you can always reach me by email as well. Adios, happy learning!